Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I bring you a dramatic and emotional story about a young woman named Lythieuca, a girl who has brought many viewers to tears in previous episodes. As you all know, Hoai bravely saved a helpless girl from the hands of two thugs with bad intentions. Her courageous act earned everyone's admiration, but from that very moment, new troubles began. The very next morning, those same thugs secretly came looking for Hoai to take revenge, filled with hatred and recklessness. Will she be able to stand firm once again in the face of danger? And who will appear in time to help her through this life-threatening moment? Stay tuned until the end of today's video to witness all the unexpected twists. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment to cheer for Hoai, the small girl with an extraordinarily strong heart. The sun had just begun to shine. The first light of day filtered through a thin veil of mist, casting a soft glow over the garden like a silk curtain. Dewdrops clung to each leaf, glistening like tiny crystals, trembling slightly as the morning breeze swept past. Hoai draped a scarf over her shoulders and picked up her familiar bamboo basket. She stepped into the garden, her rubber sandals pressing against the damp earth, leaving small footprints between rows of green vegetables. The quiet was so deep she could hear the faint rustle of leaves brushing against her steps. Better harvest early to make it in time for the market. The greens look beautiful today, she murmured softly, her clear voice melting into the morning mist. She bent down, her hands skillfully cutting each tender bunch of vegetables. The cool dew on the stems brushed against her fingertips. Each bundle she tied neatly with a thin bamboo string, arranging them carefully inside her basket. Her gentle breath mingled with the faint smoke from the kitchen chimney, the scent of firewood and earth blended into the fragrance of a simple rural morning. After a while, the basket was full. She covered it with a banana leaf, then gently lifted it onto her shoulder. Her steps were light but steady as she walked along the village path leading to the market. On both sides, rows of areca palms swayed, drops of dew fell on her shoulder, cold yet comforting. The distant crowing of roosters mingled with the clinking of cowbells and the rhythmic sound of brooms sweeping courtyards nearby. The aroma of freshly cooked rice drifted through the mist, warming the heart of anyone awake so early. The red dirt road was still wet, marked by the wool tracks of early market-goers. Hoai walked slowly, sometimes pausing to adjust her basket strap, her eyes gazing ahead with a calm, peaceful look. As she neared the market, the hum of voices began to rise, laughter, chatter, vendors calling out, the sound of knives and cutting boards, and children's playful shouts, all awakening the morning bustle. She picked a small spot near the market gate, laid out her vegetables, and smiled to greet the familiar faces. "Are these your greens, Hoai? They're always so fresh." "Yes, Auntie, I picked them early. They still have the morning dew on them." People stopped by, buying a few bundles, praising how green, clean, and fragrant they were. Before long, her basket was already half empty. She gently wiped a bead of sweat from her forehead, her kind smile blending with the lively rhythm of the morning market. When the sun climbed higher, its golden light filled the market yard. Her basket was now empty, only a few stray leaves clinging to the banana cover. She tidied up, packed her things, bowed goodbye, and headed home. Her footsteps were unhurried on the way back, her small figure stretching long across the damp earth. The morning wind brushed past, fluttering the hem of her shirt, blending with the chirping of birds along the bamboo grove at the edge of the village. Far away, across the road, among the passing crowd, two cold eyes silently followed her. No words. No movement. Just a heavy, shadowed gaze, like darkness hiding beneath the gentle morning sun. Hoai kept walking, peaceful and unaware that on this seemingly ordinary morning, everything was about to change. ChatGPT de Noi. Those were the same two thugs from before, their figures lurking among the morning market crowd, like dark shadows slipping through the sunlight. One wore a black shirt, his square jaw clenched tight, eyes bloodshot with rage. He ground his teeth and muttered through ragged breaths. "That little brat, she ruined everything for us last time." The other, thinner, with tattoos snaking out from under his rolled-up sleeves, nodded sharply, his tone cold and venomous. "She embarrassed us in front of everyone. Today she'll pay for that. No one makes fools out of us," and walks away. They exchanged a quick glance, saying nothing more. Their eyes were like freshly sharpened blades, and in that silence lay something far more terrifying than any shouted threat. They began to follow her, step by step, slow and steady, like predators stalking their prey, keeping just the right distance. Hoai kept walking, her small shoulders swaying gently with each step. In her hand was an empty bamboo basket, a few tender leaves still clinging to the bottom. Sunlight filtered through the trees, laying golden stripes across her brown blouse, her shadow stretching long on the gravelly path. She hummed softly, a clear, light tune, as gentle as the morning breeze. But suddenly, something inside her stirred. A strange unease, faint as a thread, yet tugging tightly at her heartbeat. Having spent years in local markets and endured many unfriendly stares, Hoai quickly sensed that something was wrong, like the acrid smell of smoke before a fire. The footsteps behind her, faint though they were, cut through the chatter and noise. Their rhythm matched hers perfectly, not faster, not slower, deliberate in its mimicry. Each time she adjusted her pace, those steps did too, and an icy chill crept up her spine. She tilted her head slightly, glancing toward a small mirror hanging by a nearby fruit stall. In the dim reflection, she caught sight of two figures, standing apart, yet clearly watching her every move. She didn't react. Instead, she tightened her grip on the basket handle, mind racing fast and quiet. No screaming. No panic. Her steps stayed slow, natural, as if nothing had changed. Yet inside, her heartbeat pounded like a muted drum. Every sound around her sharpened, the cries of vendors, the laughter, the clang of knives against cutting boards, even the whisper of wind through bamboo, all weaving together into a tense, unnatural silence. "It's not a coincidence," she thought. "They're following me." Her hand trembled slightly, but her eyes stayed calm. She drew in a deep breath, kept humming, pretending to be carefree. The road ahead stretched long beneath streaks of sunlight filtering through the treetops. Behind her, the two men still followed, slow, steady, and relentless. Hoai kept walking, one quiet step at a time, carrying within her a still, focused calm, the kind that only comes to those who know the storm is very near. Hoai quickened her pace, the hem of her brown blouse fluttering with each step. She turned onto a narrow path that led behind the bamboo grove, a trail only locals knew, blanketed year-round with dry leaves and dotted with faint chicken tracks. The path was so tight that two people walking in opposite directions would have to turn sideways to pass. Beneath her feet, the soil was still damp, the scent of dew blending with that of wet earth and young bamboo. Her steps were light but firm, eyes alert to every detail. On her right stood a row of old banana trees, on the left, a moss-covered earthen wall. She followed the shortcut, ducking beneath a sagging bamboo fence. The dry stems scraped against her blouse with a soft rustle that sent a chill down her spine. Once through, she quickly slipped aside, hiding herself in the thick shade behind a cluster of banana trees. The banana leaves were broad, blocking out the sunlight. The breeze stirred them gently, scattering flecks of light across her face. Hoai pressed herself low to the ground, her breathing so shallow it was almost silent. From there, She could see the narrow road leading back to the market, the very path she had walked just seconds ago. Footsteps echoed from afar, growing nearer. The sound of shoes crunching dirt, pebbles scattering, and the low murmur of voices laced with anger. Two figures appeared, one tall and broad-shouldered, his face dark and hard, eyes burning with fury, the other thin, a half-smoked cigarette dangling from his lips, its smoke curling up in harsh white wisps. Lost her. How the hell did that little witch run so fast? The big one snarled, sweeping aside branches with his arm. Wait for it, the thin one hissed, grinding the cigarette under his heel. I swear I'll find her, and she'll pay every bit of what she owes. They prowled around the bend, scanning both directions. One crouched to inspect the ground, but the soil was too soft, the footprints blurred by wind. Frustration boiled over. He slammed his palm against an old brick wall, the dry thud echoing sharply through the grove. A sparrow perched on a treetop startled and shot into the sky, its wings slicing the air with a rapid flap-flap. The noon breeze stirred up dust, hazing the air. Sunlight blazed down, glinting off the sweat on their foreheads. The entire garden fell eerily still, only the harsh sound of their breathing, the faint buzz of insects, and the trembling of banana leaves remained. In the shadows, Hoai held her breath. Her heart pounded hard but steady, keeping rhythm so as not to shake the leaves above her. A drop of sweat traced down her cheek, fell to the ground, and vanished into the soil. Her senses sharpened. She could hear everything, the whisper of the wind through bamboo, the crunch of their heels against dry sand. The tall man glanced around and cursed, "Damn it, the woman's quick as a fox." The thinner one lifted his eyes toward the trees, smirking, his voice cold as steel, "Doesn't matter. She ran today, but she won't run tomorrow." They turned to leave, though not completely. One of them looked back, his sharp eyes slicing across the banana grove where Hoai was hiding. That glance froze her breath in her chest, a chill ran down her spine. Only when his footsteps finally faded into the distance did she dare to loosen her grip, though sweat had already soaked through her shoulders. Outside, the sun blazed brighter. Cicadas began their shrill chorus, and the afternoon wind carried a heavy, stifling heat. The two men were gone now, leaving only their tangled footprints and the bitter scent of cigarette smoke hanging in the air. Hoai stayed still. She didn't move right away, listening intently for any lingering sound. Her breaths came slow, her heartbeat gradually settling. She tilted her head upward, sunlight filtered through the leaves, flickering across her tense but resolute face. That fragile silence, suspended between life and danger, stretched on. She knew that even one careless move could change everything. But Hoai wasn't afraid. In her eyes still burned a small flame, quiet, cold, yet unyieldingly bright. When Hoai got home, the unease still hadn't left her. Though the path from the market was barely a few hundred meters, every step had felt heavier than usual. The midday wind drifted through the areca trees, carrying the smell of sun and wood smoke, yet inside her, there lingered only a quiet, persistent dread. She set her empty basket down on the porch and wiped the sweat from her forehead. Under the eaves, her mother, was sorting through a pile of freshly picked beans. Seeing her daughter step in, she looked up. Her eyes paused on Hoai's pale face, then quickly filled with worry. "What happened, child? You look so shaken, your hands are freezing." Hoai sat down, her fingers trembling slightly. She began to recount everything, from the walk to the market, that strange feeling of being followed, to the moment she hid behind the banana grove. Her voice grew smaller with each word. When she reached the part about the two thugs reappearing, her mother's expression changed sharply. Ha set the basket of beans aside, her breath catching in alarm. "Good heavens," she gasped, eyes wide with fear. "Those men dared come back. You were lucky to notice in time, otherwise." She didn't finish the sentence. Her hand gripped the edge of her blouse tightly, eyes staring off into the distance as if imagining a worse outcome. Hoai lowered her head, her voice trembling. "I was terrified, me. When I heard those footsteps behind me, I thought my heart would stop. But, if I tell Hung, I'm afraid he'll worry. He's busy with that big case right now. If he hears about this, he won't be able to focus." Ha sighed softly, pulling her chair closer to her daughter. She placed a warm hand on Hoai's shoulder and spoke in a calm, steady tone. "My dear, being strong doesn't mean hiding your fear. I know you don't want anyone to worry about you, but there are things a woman can't face alone. Hung is a police officer. He knows how to deal with situations like this. You should tell him soon." Her gaze softened, filled with quiet strength. "The more you stay silent, the bolder they'll get. But if you speak up, at least someone can help protect you. I don't ever want you to face danger like that again, do you hear me?" Hoai stayed silent for a long moment. The wind rustled through the areca trees outside, blending with the faint sound of chickens calling in the distance. Inside her, a silent wave stirred. She knew her mother was right. She knew she couldn't carry this alone anymore. After a while, she nodded, her voice small but resolute. "Yes, me. I understand. I'll call Hung." A faint smile appeared on Ha's face, her eyes softening with relief. "Good. Tell him everything clearly, don't hide a thing. This isn't something simple." Hoai turned her gaze toward the courtyard, where patches of sunlight filtered through the areca leaves, scattering across the ground. Fear still lingered somewhere deep within her, but beneath it, a new feeling had begun to rise, calmness, and the quiet strength to face whatever came next. That night, the little house was aglow. Soft yellow light spilled through the window, mingling with the hum of crickets outside to create a peaceful countryside symphony. Yet inside Hoai's heart, the calm had not returned. She sat by the table, staring at the phone in her hand. Her finger hovered for a long while before finally pressing the call button. On the other end, Hung's voice came through, deep, steady, familiar, but with an edge of concern he couldn't quite hide. "Say that again, those men were following you?" Hoai bit her lip, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes. I think it was the same two from before. I felt them behind me after leaving the market. Luckily, I took the shortcut. They lost sight of me." For a moment, there was only silence. She could hear his breathing, heavy, controlled, and the faint rustle of paper in the background. Then Hung spoke, his tone firm, measured, yet carrying the weight of worry. "Don't take this lightly, you hear me? Lock your doors tight, and don't go out at night. I'll call a few friends from the old precinct. They work near your area. I'll have them keep watch around there for now. If anything strange happens, they'll deal with it immediately. Don't worry too much," she murmured softly, her voice tinged with a shy gentleness, as if trying to ease the tension flowing through the line. Hung sighed quietly, a sound heavy with both affection and unease. "If I don't worry, then who will?" he said slowly, his voice low, steady, the kind that wrapped around her heart and made it ache. "I promise I'll take care of this. I won't let anything happen to you." Hoai pressed her lips together and nodded, though he couldn't see it. Her voice came out tender, like a whisper carried by the night breeze. "I know. I trust you." The call ended. The screen dimmed, reflecting her face under the soft glow of the lamp. She sat still for a long while, staring into nothing. Inside her rose a strange feeling, part worry, part warmth. Something that made her want to cry and smile at the same time. From the kitchen, her mother has stepped out, holding a warm teapot. She placed it gently on the table. "You told Hung already?" "Yes, me. He said he'd have someone keep an eye on the area for a while." "That's good," Ha said softly, pouring the tea into 2 small cups. "Better to have someone watching than none at all." The two sat together, the lamplight painting their faces in a soft gold. Outside, the night wind brushed past the curtain, making it sway gently. The sound of frogs echoed faintly from the distant fields, mingling with the cool air, wrapping the house in an illusion of peace. But beyond the quiet, out by the bamboo grove at the edge of the village, something lingered still. A shadow. Waiting. The wind stirred the leaves with a faint rustle, then fell silent again. No one noticed, but a pair of unseen eyes were still watching the small house bathed in golden light, quietly, and with intent. ChatGPT de NOI. Outside, night had fully fallen. The light from the small house still glowed softly, casting 2 shadows, mother and daughter, sitting quietly side by side. It looked peaceful, yet somewhere out there, in the darkness beyond, unseen eyes were still watching. Will Hung be able to protect Hoai from the danger drawing near? And can the calm days in this quiet village truly last? Stay tuned for the next episode tomorrow to find out what Hung will do. And don't forget to leave a comment to show your support for Hoai.
Hello mọi người, rất vui được gặp lại mọi người trong video hôm nay. Mình đang làm video. Rất là mệt rồi. Không biết là nên làm sao đây. Tải được video về rồi này mọi người ơi. Mình sẽ đọc tên cho nó lên là 1 đi. Để cho nó đứng số thứ tự cho khỏi lộn đó mọi người. Còn cái video mình đang quay thì là video số 4 rồi. 1 2 3 4. Bye bye mọi người.